Mr. Ramaraj and JK, though they don't need any such introduction, being veteran professionals and entrepreneurs themselves. Ramaraj and JK have had the benefit of education from premier institutions in India and the opportunity to interact and learn from inspiring teachers and multifaceted co-students. They have been through satisfying corporate careers, entrepreneurial ventures, and social organizations where they grew into leadership roles and rode the waves of both challenges and opportunities. While their learning curve never stopped, they continue to be part of some of these organizations even today. Growing up in families where parents, uncles, aunts, siblings, and cousins were closely knit, they have imbibed the value of relationships, of giving and receiving with grace. The treasure they have amassed over the years is an extended network of true friends built from their student days as well as from their business and social circle. They are believers in the wealth of knowledge and wisdom handed down from the ages, and they have consciously exposed themselves to this content from renowned teachers and source documents towards finding answers and approaches to lead a meaningful life. While they are practitioners, they continue to be students and seekers of the Indic way, striving to reach their potential, to continuously perform and achieve, to do their best in any situation and face life's ups and downs with equanimity, to care for the well being of people and nurture relationships of value by reducing or eliminating negativities, by building on leveraging positivities, and thereby engage with life with energy, enthusiasm, fulfillment, and happiness. The various sessions of Indic Way highlight their learnings and practices, aspects that they have found to be of value for themselves in getting ready for life, which they are going to share with us today evening. And over to you, gentlemen, Ramaraj and JK.
Thank you, Arun.
Thank you so much, Arun, for those very gracious words of introduction.
My pleasure.
Okay, good evening. I know there will always be a few who may be first timers to the Indic way, but we are going to get directly into this session because we want to keep the session to only 1 hour and spend some time with all of you in reviewing the entire series and what is it that each one of us have taken from the contents of the series. But to summarize, our belief throughout the Power series is that we possess many genies like the Aladdin lamp and the genie which is available for Aladdin under his control, and therefore, Master, thy wish is my command to get anything done. Our premise is that we possess so many genies for different aspects of our life, and we just need to understand that we possess those genies and then tap into them for different aspects of performance and happiness. And it is in that context that we come to the final session of the Power series, which is the power for happiness. And we will examine during this session what is that genie or genies combination which we possess to ensure that while we are pursuing success and achievement on one side, that we continue to be able to live in happiness as we progress. Ram, your comments, please.
Thanks, JK. Thank you, Arun. As we have said at every session, this is about improving oneself. It is not about team. It is not about company. It is about self-development towards being both dynamic and happy. Is it possible to be successful and happy? And often we find that there is a contradiction, that in order to be successful, we need to get stressed, or we see too much of stress. So that is what JK is saying, that we have these genies, these strengths, these powers, with which it is in our hands to make our fortune or to spoil the fortune, misfortune. Whatever we do, it is in our hands. As we keep saying, the remote is in our control for our life. How do we make sure that the choice of our actions, the choice of our relationships, all of them can be at optimal level, and we can be at equilibrium every day, so that we are at our best in meeting our potential? That is really the focus of this power series, the power within us to do our best. Back to you, JK.
Thanks, Ram. So we have already covered the different powers that we possess. The power of I, which is where we started, that we can transform, we can change, we can learn. We have the power of choice. Like Ram said, the remote over our emotions, the power of action, building relationships, the power of intellect, and we, in the last session, covered the power to succeed. And therefore, in the final session, which we call riding the roller coaster of life, power for happiness. Now, if we get into this, if we look at normal experience and how we, the average person, any one of us, looks at happiness and unhappiness, we have summarized to say that when things happen as I want, or it's in my favor, or I get an unexpected bonanza. So everything that I want, so my child has got 100 out of 100, I got promoted, or I got the lottery ticket, whatever. So the combination is when things happen as I want, or it's an unexpected bonanza which is in my favor, it leads to happiness. The reverse, when things don't happen as I want, or in my favor and it's an unexpected loss, the complete reverse. I wanted something completely different happens, it's an unexpected event. We've gone through many of those in our earlier sessions. But to summarize, therefore, when things don't happen as I want, results in unhappiness. Similarly, when situations, relationships, and interactions are pleasant or joyous, it's happiness. But if it's unpleasant or miserable, it's unhappiness. This is how it is for most people. And therefore, as these events, situations, or relationships keep happening in our life, our happiness or unhappiness gets triggered by these experiences. Ram?
No, JK, we'll go next.
Therefore, I can be happy only if, that is, this I'm sure most of you here would agree that this is how it is for most of us, average people, people whom we know, and therefore we can arrive at this conclusion that I can be happy only if all events are as per what I want, or they continue to be as per what I want, or all my relationships are pleasant at all times. Only then I can be happy. I would like to now invite some comments and inputs from any of you, and therefore if you raise your hands, Saurav could unmute and you could share. Therefore, this is how we can be happy. I can be happy only if everything is going to happen as I want and it continues to happen as I want, or all my relationships are pleasant. Otherwise, there is no way I can be happy. Anybody who wishes to offer us some input, some comments.
We,
Yeah, Arun, good, nice to get your
I mean, from what I could gather here, we are allowing the environment to determine our happiness either way.
No, I would first ask you, Arun, would you agree that this is how it is for most of us? I mean, we
I
don't now
agree.
need to become, philosophical and say what it should be. But this is how it is, and this is how we engage with the world. That
True.
I'm just reminded, JK, of your own example of a maths examination where a student gets 95 marks and another student gets 40 marks. The guy who gets 95 is unhappy because he's lost 5 marks, whereas the guy who's got 40 is happy because he's cleared the exam and he's happy that he's moved on to the next thing. And therefore, it is again a perspective of what where your own calibration is and where you stand with respect to expectation and therefore outcome.
oh, thanks, Rajaram. I know that those we have covered, but we want to therefore say this is how it is for most of us. That my happiness
I
can
can
get
actually
so.
add, okay.
Yeah. Go ahead, please. Yeah.
So I would even go to the extent of adding that though in theory we all understand that this is a myth, but still we exist in that situation that I will be happy if. And in theory we know it. Most of us, I think, at least in this group or most of the proper groups, we all know that, but it's still so difficult to in reality say that in spite of all this I will be happy. So that is a very big truth that what you're saying just now.
Ram, anything here?
No, JK. Sorry, I was on mute. No, I think we'll move to the next.
So let's now therefore say this is how it is for most of us. This is all of you are right. That we all know in theory that it needs to be different, but in our practical aspects of life, this is how we are, and we allow things that happen around us to affect our happiness or unhappiness or trigger the happiness or unhappiness. So now let's go into the theme of today's session. We all know life is a roller coaster. Okay. All of us would agree that life is a roller coaster. But I want to present two views of this roller coaster. Now this is the actual roller coaster. But this is our expectation of the roller coaster for our life. Yeah, the roller coaster may be like that. Yeah, I understand life is a roller coaster. But my expectation of the roller coaster for myself is this Autobahn, beautiful stretch, no twists, turns, ups or downs. And since this is the expectation, I have no readiness. For the fact that the actual roller coaster may be completely different from my expectations, and therefore, in the manner in which I ride the roller coaster, I have many different ways. One, disturbed at the start and ride with fear. Disturbed during twists and turns and ups and downs, and relaxed during the straight stretch. Disturbed at the start and then ride with joy. And I'm sure you all seen so many of the kids who do ride the roller coaster. Yeah, they're all a little scared, but as they get into the ride, it's more the joy that takes over. While maybe for elders, it's the fear that takes over as they are riding the roller coaster. And for some, no disturbance, ride to enjoy the thrills. happy to get some inputs. And Ram, first, your own thoughts on this.
So what is the difference? I mean, as JK said, roller coaster is our life. There are ups and downs, there are uncertainties. We don't know when the next bump or the next downward turn or that exhilarating upward ride, we don't know. But it happens every time. What is the difference in these four states that JK has put here? And can we really look to enjoy the thrills? That is really what this whole self-development is about. It's the attitude with which we are preparing ourselves. Our expectation is the smooth highway when we know for sure it is the picture above. And so if we know that that is the picture above and this too shall pass, and we have that attitude that this too shall pass, then we are better and better prepared to actually enjoy the thrills. And so how do we enjoy the thrills? What should we be preparing for is what we'll talk as we go forward.
Yeah. Thanks, Ram. And I want to add to that, whether we enjoy or not, that preparedness itself, and that's what we have covered through the earlier 9 sessions, where we have taken different situations and different aspects of our life and presented approaches through the different genies that we possess. And we are going to again cover some of those while we go through this session. So we know this. So let's get into, in our intro note that we circulated about this session, we had referred to this, that all of us have read the fairy tales where the last line is that therefore they lived happily ever after. Now this, they lived happily ever after, is that really valid for us? Is there therefore happy in the hereafter, that is from today? Is that at all possible? Is that a realistic objective? Or it is just a fairy tale and it's good for us to just leave it in the fairy tale? Ram? Yes.
So what determines happiness? Do we have a unit of measure? We are all, entrepreneurs, and we want to measure everything. We have metrics. What is the unit of happiness? Do we know? Usually, what is it that we say, hey, I'm okay, not too bad. But if I got just that one more thing, if I got that one order, if I got that one partner I'm seeking, if I got that one award that I wanted, then this would make my life, make my life happy. Just that one more thing. So I'm reminded of a story that has been told many times. I'm sure some of you have heard of it. There was this young man who had been gifted this gift of the ability to converse with God and go and meet God whenever he wanted. Very happy, 27, 28 years old, very happy, successful in any way you measured, extremely happy. At which time, his parents, his family, the society that we all are influenced by, told him, hey, isn't it time that you found a partner? Till then, he was really happy. Now, that one more thing, if I got that happily ever after, I would be. So why don't you find a partner? And having planted that idea, he said, yeah, maybe that'll make me even more happier. So he went to Bharat Matrimony, family, everything. And finally he said, hey, my God, I know God, let me go to God. So he took a flight, went up to the Delhi and went to the Himalayas, trekked, and finally found God up in the mountains somewhere. Only he knew how to get there, a long trek. And God said, hey, Karthik, long time no see. And he said, sorry, God, I've been very happy. He said, yeah, something must be bothering you. People remember me only when they need something. So what is it that you want? He said, God, I'm very happy, but, I want a partner. If I have that partner, I will be very, very happy. That's it. Nothing more. He said, you sure? Partner? He said, yes, nothing else. He said, look, it's a long way. You've come. Anything else? He said, no. Perfect. Ever after. Came back, and sure enough, a great partner was found, and they lived happily. Couple of years, and then the usual. Family asked him, hey, fellow, time you had a kid, where is our grandchild? What are you doing? And the wife said, if he had a child, it'll be, and I'm told you have access to God. Why don't you go and ask God? So he said, yeah, I think if he had a kid, that would be great. So he went up to God. It's a long trek. And he asked God, and God said, what do you want? He said, I need a child. He said, that's it? Sure. Don't need to keep coming and going. So anything else? He said, no, God, just this one more. And so came back, Tatastu, beautiful child, smiley, healthy, looking very nice, cute. But at the end of 3 months, they found child was deaf and dumb. So now what? So he said, look, I can't keep going back and asking favors of God. This is it. But everybody put pressure on him, his wife especially. So he went back and he said, God, please, just this one more. Just baby is deaf and dumb. Just remove that. God said, look, I'll do that. But having come, anything else? He said, no, just that. And sure enough, when he came back, child was able to hear and speak. But as it grew up, they suddenly realized that it was speaking only nonsense. He didn't have the sense to speak correctly. And it goes on. You can go correct that. And you think the happiness is just around the corner. If I got that building, if I got that order, just one more. And always it is just that one more thing, and I will be happy ever after. That's all. Give me one more. When is enough enough? Is a question we need to ask ourselves. When is enough enough? JK?
Thanks, Ram. And more than when is enough enough, what I take from this story is what is that one more with which that happiness can be forever with us. So
Correct.
I think it's a nice story for us to think about. And this other thing which I read about happiness, you talk to anybody and they'll tell you, JK, those days, yeah, good old days. Good old days. When you were kids, when we were playing around in school, in college, and whatever, happy times. Happiness is always in the good old days. Many, many years ago. So I read this saying that, are we always saying the happiness is in the rear view mirror and there is no happiness in front of us when we look through the windshield? And forever we have to look at the rear view mirror and say, happiness, yeah, I used to be happier. Those good old days. So these two thoughts, let's keep with us as we go forward. And we therefore wanted to present what we call the happiness graph. Let's say on the positive side of the x-axis, we have happiness. And on the negative side, we have happiness. And 0, 0 is equilibrium. And if you say y-axis is duration, and if we start to plot to say, for how long am I in equilibrium, for how long am I in some 0 to 9 of happiness, in how long am I in some 0 to 9 of unhappiness, we start to get some feeling for how each one of us is in our day-to-day life. So it's not theory, it's not for getting full marks in theory, but to only assess and look at how it is for ourselves. So the happiness graph, I'm sorry that the animation went off. So when we are doing something we like, more like listening to music or spending time with friends, watching a movie, are we happy? Or are we in equilibrium, which is neither happy nor unhappy? And then let's look at the other aspect. When we're doing something we don't like, slogging at work, doing other chores we don't like, with indifferent people, are we happy? Are we in equilibrium? Neither unhappy nor happy. Happy to get some of your thoughts. And we'll just share as how we are. Let's not worry whether that answer gets us 100 out of 100. We just want to know how it is. How are we?
Some of our stalwart opening batsmen haven't come this time, I think.
Jawahar is missing. Yeah?
I think so.
So I think we are always either happy or unhappy.
So, Viren, you are listening to music which you like.
Yeah.
Would you say I'm happy at that time?
Yeah. At that
Yeah.
moment, I'm so pleased. I'm glad I got hold of this. And
At that time, at that moment, we'll forget whether it continues or not. But while you're doing an activity you like, when you're with friends whom you enjoy their company, whatever the discussion,
correct, yes, absolutely.
And the reverse, slogging at work, doing chores that I don't want to do.
Absolutely. So disappointing, want to finish it, and so irritating, want to get rid of it immediately as soon as possible.
So I would say somewhere on the negative side of the x-axis, not on the positive side of the x-axis.
Not at all, right.
So that's what we wanted to point out in this happiness graph. And therefore, if we continue this and look at what happens during a normal day, while having coffee, reading a newspaper, traveling to office, at work, traveling back, with family for some time, watching TV over dinner, plus all the time that we need to spend on social media, what would the coordinates be on graph for each one?
It'll be like FM. Like 5 things. Up, down, up, down, up, down.
Anybody else would like to share something? What happens if you take your own normal day? Anybody else, please?
I think Arun Kumar says equilibrium when we are lost in the moment. Okay, JK, I think we'll...
Okay, I'll continue. We did talk to quite a few people, and I want to summarize things that we found. So 6 a.m. to 8 a.m. grumpy for whatever reason, whether coffee was not great or the newspaper didn't have great news for you to digest. 6 a.m. to 8 a.m. grumpy. 8 a.m. to 9 a.m. getting ready to go to office, very rushed. 9 a.m. to 10 a.m. traveling to office, stressed in traffic. 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. slogging away at work, pressured, tense, irritated at work. 6 p.m. to 7 p.m. traveling back, restless in traffic. 7 p.m. to 9 p.m. with family, unwinding with family, discussions, some leads to complaints, some leads to debates. But that's what happens. Start to unwind, get into discussion, get into debate, get into complaints, and pleasant for some time, unpleasant for some time. 9 p.m. to 10 p.m., relaxing in front of a TV, watching a horror movie. Now that's the day. Would you agree that this in some way represents the day for most of us and people that we know, our families and friends?
Hello.
Yes?
Yes, Pragya. Go ahead.
Sir, I feel that it's mostly that we live in the future. In the morning, we think about what is going to happen in the day. And once we come back, also, we keep on thinking about the future. So it's rarely that we stay in the present and try to enjoy the moment rather than, trying to think what will happen in the future or what went wrong in the past.
Oh, Pragya, that is the theory part. Would you agree that this is a day which many of us experience?
Yes.
Okay. Anybody else who wishes to offer us some input?
This is what we call an active lifestyle. You represented it in a different way. We all give it a nice name called active lifestyle.
So let's move on. If we replace unhappiness by a word which I now want to bring, therefore I don't want to say unhappiness, because the moment we put unhappiness, many of us would say, no, I'm not really unhappy. Okay. But if I change that to disturbance, and therefore, how would our graph look like if we replace unhappiness with disturbance? And therefore, if we go back to this one, each is a disturbance in some form. Each is a disturbance, whether I'm rushed, I'm pressured, I'm stressed, yeah, I'm discussing, I got into debates, I got into unpleasant conversation. Each is a disturbance, irritation, anger, yeah, stress, restlessness. So if we replace unhappiness with disturbance, how would our graph look like? And would most of our coordinates fall on the left side of equilibrium in the disturbed state with some duration for different types of disturbances as we go through the day? Anybody? We have discussed this, and this is when people actually share saying, yeah, it is true, JK. Yeah, there's some disturbance or other in my mind. It's not that the disturbance, we went through three, I would say, dimensions on which we can evaluate those disturbances. You know, the frequency, intensity, duration aspects for some of you who may remember. So it's not that it's a very intense disturbance, but yeah, some irritation, some stress, some little anxiety. And like what Pragyan said, hey, I'm always thinking about what I need to do next. Am I ready for that? No, but that will happen. Something is running through my mind, which is a disturbance in some form. And therefore, I am not really enjoying that particular activity or interaction that I'm having at that point in time. So for many, if you genuinely and honestly put your coordinates on this graph, you will find many of the points that you put on the graph or on that left side of equilibrium, different durations for different types of disturbances. Any comments?
So, we have pointed out in the earlier session that we need to focus on disturbances, primarily because, as we have said, we have a choice of action every moment. Every moment. Should we be watching this interesting cricket match or should we be listening to JK and Ramraj? Is one choice. Some of us are trying to do both at the same time. So, every moment we have this choice. And our choice of action, therefore, from that, the quality of our action suffers when we have this disturbance. And as Pragyan said, it could be caused by the worry of some past or some anxiety of the future. Anything can then spoil the quality of our action. Everything is about we taking control on the quality of our action. And therefore, how do we first of all identify disturbances? Then see how to reduce it and how to see it doesn't repeat. So the first thing is to understand that it is in our control to first identify and reduce these disturbances so that we come to equilibrium. If we are even equal, maintain that equilibrium, our quality of our decision making will be better. And of course, we are in that positive state. Then not only will we act, we'll bring about a radiance, a leadership, a positive energy around all of us. So that is why identifying disturbances, minimizing, eliminating is how we need to go to move the graph from the left to the right. Back to you, JK.
So definitely a lot of our day-to-day activities and what we go through are on the left side of the graph. And therefore, since it's on the left side of the graph, we can say we are not in any happy state of mind through most of the day. So it comes to this question, the pursuit of happiness. And therefore looks like we need to pursue happiness. We need to pursue because currently we are not happy. That we have established already in the previous graph. We are currently not happy and therefore we need to pursue happiness. So the moment it is pursued, can we then pursue? Can we chase happiness? For how long should we chase? And more important, in what direction should I chase to get this happiness? So clearly we are not happy currently and therefore we need to chase happiness to acquire. So to pursue, in what direction? Most important question, will we know it when we catch it? Like Ram said, therefore, if I get married, is that the happiness? Or when I get the child, is that the happiness? So will we know it when we catch it? And I saw this lovely ad. Drive happiness with EMI and lakhs starting at something. Is this our concept of happiness? And therefore, the moment I'm able to start EMI at a much lower level and get this, I drive happiness. And therefore, this is the happiness I need to chase, and I know now I've got happiness. So will we know it when we catch it? Having got it, can we hold on to it? It's the next logical question. Or will it escape? How long? Or will it escape? And therefore, do I need to start all over again, chase, catch, hold? What do you all think? So I'm just logically building up from the previous graph. Previous graph establishes that, yeah, disturbances, all that I agree. Therefore, we are on the left side of the graph. That means we are not happy. And therefore, can we chase, catch, hold happiness? Anybody would like to give us some input? Huh?
So, many of us may say that I am happy. But the question is, like my granddaughter, she wanted a chocolate cake. So I got her a slice and gave her a slice of chocolate cake. extremely happy. Can I have one more? I said, of course, have one more. Really happy. I said, why don't you have a third piece? Mother was frowning. Third piece, she said, yeah, let me have. But now the enthusiasm has come down. Now have a fourth piece. Not today. Tomorrow, maybe. So the question is, even the same thing, the quantum of happiness changes with both quantity and time. It's, as we all have studied, the law of diminishing returns. The same object, its utility value to us, its happiness quotient to us comes down with quantum and time. So the message here is, happiness is not necessarily in that object for long duration. No doubt it satisfies for a moment, for a certain time, but then it goes away. So if it is not in the object for a long time, then where do we look for happiness? That is the question. Where do we chase for happiness? If it is not necessarily in the object forever, for that ever after. So that is the question we need to reflect on. If it is not in the object, then where is it? JK?
JK, if you allow me, can I narrate a little
Yes,
incident
please, Viren,
which is
please.
in
Please.
line with what Ram said. So this happened to me a few years back, when I returned from office. You know how we return from office, you just showed it in the graph. And before I went up, I wanted to kind of relax. So I was in the parking lot sitting there, and I happened to watch the watchman. You know how the watchman live, right? He and his wife had bought him some dinner. So they were sitting on the floor eating, and they were talking. 5 minutes into their conversation, which I was slyly overhearing, I realized that his situation and my situation were identical. You know, he was thinking that I wish my employer was better. I wish I earned a little more. I wish my son listened to me. I wish I had little more comfort. I wish I got a break from my work. And I said, oh my God. So that was a big revelation for me. So what I understood is that whatever we have becomes our base. Whatever we reach becomes our base, and our aspirations are constantly, to the next level. I think the modern system has trained us to aspire for the next level, never remain satisfied. So this was a big lesson for me, that my watchman, who is earning maybe 5,000-10,000 rupees, and me are absolutely the same.
Actually, there is one thing that I want to maybe draw your attention. No philosophy, Indian philosophy at least, the ones that we have studied, nothing says there is a limit to your acquisition, that you must stop, that there is no prescription saying, Viren, you should have only 2 cars or whatever. There is no prescription. The question and what people draw is, your happiness should not be on the future acquisition. Can you enjoy what you have, be satisfied, then look for something else? Whether you get it or not, you're still happy, but don't stop aspiring, ambition, whatever. But if it is, your happiness is dependent on that one more thing, that is the challenge. It is not that we stop pursuing acquisition. That we have only 2 motivations in life: acquire, enjoy. The problem is we are focusing all the time on acquisition. We forget to enjoy what we have. We think that we'll wait till the next thing comes, our enjoyment will be the next level. And that, I think, is what causes our problem. So we are driven by acquisition and enjoyment. Those are the 2 motivators in our life. Nobody says stop. Question is, we need to know that happiness is for now. We can enjoy what we have. Thank you, let me have. Like somebody said, enjoy the moment. Enjoy what we have, exactly what you were saying. But if our happiness is dependent on a future acquisition, which is not in our control, then it is always that one more thing. And then we are constantly unhappy. We forget to enjoy.
Thank you. That was very nice.
JK?
Okay. So we want to talk of things which I think Pragyan covered very nicely. So I'll just run through it. I don't know how many of you have seen the Tanjore Chettiar doll. We used to bring it for some of our Indic sessions. But for those who haven't seen, I hope I can just show this to you and you are able to see this. Now this is the doll. Most of you would have seen it. It has this large round base. If I keep it and if I disturb it, it will quickly come back to equilibrium. It will never topple over. This Tanjore doll, any amount of disturbance, it will roll around, it will do whatever, but very quickly come back to equilibrium and it will never topple. So what is it that it indicates? Like what Ram was saying, and therefore what we did in the graph to change unhappiness to disturbance, that if the disturbance is removed, equilibrium is established. Our ability, therefore, to remove disturbances, so we call it the misery of the past and the misery of the future. Pragyan very clearly gave a summary of that the misery of the past is all about the regrets, hurts, and guilts that we carry in our mind. Misery of the future, anxiety, fear, uncertainty. And therefore, elimination of those, we have covered it in earlier sessions, but we are only saying this is one of the disturbances and our ability to remove that, to come to the happiness of the present, which we know. We also live in the happiness of the past and happiness of the future. Never happiness of the present. Those good old days, happiness of the past. And like Ram said, the moment I get this, the happiness of the future. So the happiness of the future, happiness of the past, very rarely the happiness of the present. Most important, I want to therefore say, is the misery of the present. The misery of the present, we have covered it in all our sessions. They are the events and situations and relationships happening around us at that point in time. And therefore, when an expectation is not met, that misery component automatically surfaces. Restoring to happiness equilibrium, we want to take an example which will be much easier for us to relate before we get into the final slide for this session. And therefore, we want to say all these are the disturbances. Like Ram said, the way to remain happy is we don't need to chase it somewhere. It is not in some object somewhere outside. But if we even first make sure that disturbances are removed, we are automatically on the path towards happiness because we are moving into the positive side of the graph. So can it be happiness in the status quo, which Ram asked us as a question? And we want to move into this example to make it easier for us to understand. So let's take our body, because the body is always easier for us to understand than the mind. Let's take our body. If I ask this question and put forward saying, hey, what is the default state of the body? And I share with all of us saying, the default state of the body is health. All of you would agree. The default state of the body is health. The body becomes sick. The toxicity or sickness is acquired. Contact with people, food, air, water, germs, and viruses. And therefore, if that illness, sickness is removed through medication, different regimen, or intervention, health is restored. So the body by default is healthy. Different immunity and vaccines and preventions, and therefore we are restored to health and we can maintain health. This is the body. Very clearly, default state is health. We are not born sick. Body is born healthy. Sickness is acquired. And that is how it is in terms of what we do. And therefore, you can restore to health. We can't really chase health. Health is there. You restore to health. Yeah, you can build and maintain health. You can maintain health through all those diet, exercise, and various other things that we know. But health per se is the default state of the body. Ram?
So just emphasizing that the doctor doesn't make us healthy, doctor removes the sickness and therefore brings us back to where we were before we fell ill. And that is really the example that we are talking about, that we are normally healthy. And then we do all sorts of things to fall ill, and the doctor helps us get back to our original state of health. Doctor cannot give us a dose of health if inherently we have been unhealthy. The doctor can only remove sickness. So that's really what I'm just emphasizing what JK just said. Thanks, JK.
Yeah. Rajaram, I saw you raise your hands.
No, I don't know if I'm probably jumping ahead, but I really like the default state is health and sickness is acquired, and the same parallel is the default state is happiness and unhappiness is acquired.
That's what we're getting into. That's what we're getting
sorry.
into.
Yeah.
So therefore, it's easier for us to relate to our body,
Absolutely.
and that's why we have taken this.
Absolutely.
Here. So we'll move forward. Therefore, the power for happiness. Let's take our mind. We want to say that the default state is happiness, or even if I say it's an undisturbed state. The default state is not a disturbed state. The default state is an undisturbed or happy state. The toxicity or disturbance is acquired. Again, impact of situations, relationships, experiences, expectations, anxieties, regrets, all those. Disturbance removal, we've covered it in all the Indic sessions, Ram.
Yeah. I think we'll move on, JK.
Yeah, but just to summarize, many of you know, we have covered that it is the events and situations where what we expect doesn't happen. And therefore that causes all the negative emotions to surface, anger, blah, blah, all that we have covered. And we have shared with you that the genies we possess for disturbance removal, as far as events are concerned, we have covered it as acceptance, moving to what next, non-expectational, non-judgmental, various other aspects, both in the events and situations. To remove disturbances, the Indic ways and the Indic gyms and the various regimen, they make sure, like medication can remove sickness, these genies and these powers that we shared with you can remove the disturbance. And the Indic mastery, by practicing and making sure that becomes the way of life for us, we get the immunity, and therefore disturbance is far, far less because we have now acquired immunity. And with the disturbance not being there, restoring to equilibrium and happiness, and to maintain happiness, like Ram sent me this lovely picture which I want to share. No special reason today, let's just choose to be happy as the status quo. So if we take the parallel of body and health and we examine this, it is then far easier for us to know, hey, why can't I be happy while I drink coffee, while I'm getting ready for the office, while I'm going through traffic, while I'm at work, while I'm coming back, while I'm with family, while I'm watching TV? Of course I can. And therefore, why can't it be a day of happiness? And why do I need to say my happy times were in the good old days, long forgotten, and when I was blah, 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 etc., or that happiness is going to happen after I acquire or get that next thing? And that is the power for happiness, and we possess this as a genie in all of us. Ram, over to you.
Yeah. So
Yes.
I think the most important line in this cartoon is this: let's just choose to be happy. It is our choice. It is our choice how we deal with the disturbances. It is our choice whether we want to be grumpy first thing in the morning. Forget about the taste of the coffee. We would have gone all over to find the right blend of coffee because that's what we like. Yet when we are having it, we don't enjoy it because we have forgotten about that and we're thinking about something else, and we choose not to be happy, choose not to enjoy the coffee that we have taken trouble to find. Like that for every moment of the day. We choose to ignore that moment and think of the past or the future and forget the beauty and the choice that we have. The emphasis is the choice is with us, and consciously we keep exercising the choice. How do we minimize disturbances? It is not the person outside who's causing the disturbance. It is our attitude, it is our acceptance, it is our enabling of that disturbance within us. We always blame the person or the object. It is us who have the choice to ignore, to minimize, and to enjoy the moment and not be disturbed by anybody or anything. That is the beauty of this cartoon. And I think this is what we must need to remember. It is in our hands. JK?
Thanks, Ram. So that's where we want to finish this session to say our default state is happiness. And therefore, let's see how we make that happiness in the status quo as the way we need to be. And that is our genie that we possess for the power of happiness. So to summarize, these are what we have covered. I don't want to go through all of this again, but the underlying thing is that the power of happiness is with us and it's our default state. And like Ram said, we just need to choose to be happy. And that brings us to the end of this session in terms of the topic, but not the end of this evening's discussion with all of you. We consciously said we will keep our presentation on the last topic to just 1 hour and allow another half an hour for interaction with all of you. Many of you have been here for many of our sessions, and we would like to hear from you, therefore, whether you found the content of the sessions which we have shared with you during the power series of value, and it's something that you start to practice, and has this been of any impact, usefulness for each one of you. Ram, any comments before we request some of them to share their thoughts?
This is our way of giving a quiz to all of you to know whether you remember the previous 9 sessions. And the genies we brought to your notice, that each of them emphasized some aspect of a genie in us. So starting with this, like JK said, any feedback, and what do you remember? And what can we do to change? Viren?
Okay, so I actually ran some of the sessions through with some of my friends, and I would say that I understand this in three different ways. So one was, some of them were happy to get introduced to this new way of probably trying to be happy in life. So they said, yeah, nice, we'll think. So that was one set of people. Then the other set of people found this to be a step-by-step method to actually understand some subtler aspects which we either take for granted, or we don't pay attention to, or we just ignorant. So they say, oh, it's be okay like this, fine, we'll try to. And then there was a certain group, including myself, who actually looked at this series as a workshop where we could take something and implement it and see whether it actually works. So this is how I would probably say, I understood this entire sequence. And so it is definitely very positive and helpful to me and to some people who, you know, we also were able to do some conversations around it. In specific, if I were to say how I benefited from this in my day-to-day behavior or transaction, is probably one I can say was the O to okay. One was to accept,
Yeah.
and that makes a huge difference. I think I specifically saw that change in my responses to my son's behavior, during this lockdown. Though all of us are together, we're happy, but everything is so different. He would wake up at 2 in the afternoon, and he's living in the US time, and for a long time it was very disturbing. Still, I really, after that session, I said, oh, to okay. That was very useful of assessing people. I think in that, I don't remember the name of the session. Was it remote? Who has a remote or something like that?
Correct.
So assess them, understand their behavior, and then you yourself choose to be happy. There is no point in expecting others to change, because we don't change as per other people. That is another thing which I realized, that nobody changed for anybody else. So that was one very useful thing. There were lots. Another thing I can say is, even now, right now, like I mentioned, my mom moved to a place which is completely different from a normal living setup anywhere in any city. So this place is totally out of anywhere. There's nothing around. There is no gadgets, no washing machine, no dishwasher, no geyser, nothing. And it's very cold. But she moved here, and I knew that every time I would come here, I would argue with her. But I chose to say, okay, I have to go there, and I have to be happy. So there's no point in trying to change anybody. My happiness is in my hand. And there are so many little instances throughout the day. So I have to say, it is my choice. I have come here out of my choice. And, so these are a couple of things which really I'm able to implement on a day-to-day basis and found it very useful. The intellect thing, which Ram talked about so many times, I'm still dabbling with that. I'm not able to give you any concrete, but I'm working on that, and it's very, very useful also, buddhi, intellect thing, and a lot of other things. I won't consume the entire time. So in that way, I have taken your messages to a few more people, and they've also said, okay, it's interesting. Thanks.
Thanks, Viren.
JK, you want to go to the first slide, the summary of all the sessions? It may help people to see it.
Which one, Ram?
The first
one,
the summary of all the slides. And then Rajaram wanted to say something.
You mean the topics you're saying?
Yeah, topics. What we have covered.
Rajaram, please.
Go ahead, Rajaram.
No, I probably take a long time. It's going to be a long answer from my side, but I just want to say that.
Rajaram, the objective is not a mutual admiration society.
No, the point I was trying to make, Chief, was I've had the pleasure of knowing both of you outside of Indic for so many years. So some of it is, and I just also want to point out some of the things that JK keeps talking about, because I don't know, those things are not captured here. One of JK's pet things is this thing called spiritual driving. I'm sure you already know about it. And this is about, he threw a challenge at me. I want you to drive in peak traffic in Mount Road, and I don't want you to touch the horn. So this was a 20-minute drive from T Nagar, waiting at the signal and navigating all these two-wheelers and fish carts and whatnot, and reaching some place in Tenapet Arepuram. And I'm just speaking for myself. It was a very different experience. And with JK sitting right next to me, trying to drive on Mount Road and keeping my hand off the horn, to keep one steady and be in control of your emotions and be in control of what you're doing itself is a huge task. So some of these things are, I just want to add that it's great the way it's been structured. And Chief, you talked about feedback. If there's one thing that I have learned in mastering anything, be it a skill or a change in behavior or attitude, I think it's just the start of the new year. I remember this formula where 1.01 raised to the power 365 is some 37 something. which is that you don't have to do one big thing on one day and take a break. It is about doing that small thing day in, day out, and the power of compounding. So if there's one thing, I think it would be good for each of us who's been through Indic to have some sort of a diary or a note or a post-it, if you will, to say that this is a change that I brought today. Every time it is about, everyone wants change, but no one wants to change themselves. So it is about changing yourself on a small basis every day and then capturing that and seeing the long-term effects of those changes. It is not going to happen one fine morning, you wake up and everything, the whole world is changed. It is about taking those small steps and therefore in that medium to long-term journey, seeing those changes work out. Thank you both of you for this.
Thanks, Padana.
I would like
Yeah.
to.
Yes, please.
Yeah, I would like to share that earlier I had that, I was of the opinion, or I believed in that surrendering, it is better to avoid conflict. But one thing I found that intellect has to be used for taking a call whether to surrender or not to surrender. I think that is one point I got it. Otherwise, I used to just say, okay, surrender so that other person is happy. I'm always happy, but to me, other person happy, surrender. But then the point is whether your intellect, you have to use it just for the sake of surrender. That is the point that I learned from one of the sessions. It's a very nice, very practical session. I would recommend you to bring it in the form of a book. That's what I was, so that it is, anybody can be, anybody can use it anytime or some such things. That will be very useful contribution, basically. Thank you.
Nesamani?
Nesamani, yeah.
Yes, sir. Good evening, everyone. I'm Nesamani. So this is one of the great workshop in terms of something which can be applied to life, and you can see the benefit very quickly, and also in a long term. So one of the learning for me in the early stage itself is JK said accept. Whatever happens, the first thing we should do is accept. So this was a great learning. It sounds simple, but it is a very significant learning. See, when anything happens which we don't anticipate, like something fails, something not working, something bad happens, immediately there are so many emotion comes. Like it can be fear, it can be frustration, it can be anger, or anything else, sadness, whatever. What happens is, I'm saying my personal experience. So I used to either become angry or become sad, and I say why it happened to me, or how can they do it to me, or how can this happen. So I'll just stick with that feeling for a long time, sometimes days, sometimes weeks, sometimes months, because I could not accept that. So then there's a cloud happening, and I just get stuck. So after listening to this, the story of that aeroplane ticket, the flight canceling, there is a story JK used to say. So after that, I realized, okay, there's something called acceptance. So let us accept. Then what happened? Anytime anything happens, I say, okay, I accept this. This happened now, I accept. And he didn't leave it there. He told one more thing, ask what next. And when I said, okay, I accept, all these feelings and the cloud which kind of makes everything look gray is gone. Now I am clear, even though something has happened. And the question they said, I asked myself, what next? So a beautiful thing happened. One is those emotions which were disturbing are all gone. Now I am asking the question, what next? Which triggers me to an action with a clear mind. So every step, wherever I got stuck, I used these two principles, accept and what next, and I was able to move forward. So I can even give one example. Few weeks before, I lost one gold bracelet which I was wearing for a function. I don't wear it very often, so I wear sometimes, so I forgot. And next day morning, I saw it was not in my hand. And my wife was almost ready to cry and shout, saying, okay, it's gold, it's so many sovereign and this, that, how much money. And okay, then I said, okay, first accept. Nowadays, it comes automatically because it's been few years. I'm following this workshop and practicing this. Then I said, okay, now it's gone. It's gone. Forget it. First, relax, accept. Then she was not accepting. I accepted. Then I said, okay, what all happened yesterday? What next? That was my question. Then think what happened. Where all we went. Then I figured out I went to some crowded places. I traveled in my car and few other things. What I can do now? That was my question. Then I went to my car. I searched. I couldn't find. I was still I accepted it and my mind is very clear. So I sat in the car and I just gave thought, what are other things happened? Then I realized I turned to the back seat. When I was driving, I turned to the back seat to pull a bag in my back seat with my hand and I pulled the bag. Something fell down, I didn't bother that time. Then I searched, it fell down before the two seats, deep below the handbrake, which was, you cannot search and find it. It's very hard. But somehow it got struck. Then I just put my hand there and I saw the gold bracelet there. And this is, not, you cannot just go and search somebody somewhere there, whether it will be there or not. It is because of the clear mind, that acceptance and what next, I was able to find it. And there are so many situations, even in business, in personal life, there was so much transformation. That is one beautiful learning here. And also, I got a perspective. JK said, there are only two things in life, people, situations. Either it could be a people, somebody you need to handle, or it's a situation you need to handle. This gave me a very, very clear perspective of where I am, what I am doing, what is happening around me, what I should handle now. So instead of just going on, whatever happening, okay, that is gone. Now I know, okay, whether it's a people or a situation, what should I handle now? That is a fantastic perspective. It helps a lot in every situation. And one more learning is, JK said about, whenever I say JK, it also applies to Ramraj. So JK and Ramraj, okay? So the three gunas, tamas, rajas, and sattva. After learning about it, then I did some self-evaluation of where I am. It is not partial, it is like partially this, partially that. Then I realized where I should improve, where I should be in this character. So I was able to do some changes in myself, and also in my team. I figured out what are the characteristics my team members are playing. So what kind of activities I can give to which people has those gunas. I was able to shift something and I saw things were working better. So that is one thing, a direct application and I got results. These are few of the learnings and applications, and there is actually a lot more, which I think will not be able to say within this time. And I thank Ramraj and JK very, very much for this. Thank you all.
Hey, thank you so much, Nesamani. Thank you so much. And I know you have at different points in time shared this with me, but it's so heartening to see somebody really practicing this, putting it to use and seeing that it's of value. Thank you for sharing.
Sure, sir.
Anybody else who has something to share with us?
Actually, what has been satisfying is that it is a workshop that has been our intent to share how we try to handle a few things and what we have learned, and that it has at least got across as a workshop, something that is practical, I think is being satisfying to hear. But so thank you all for saying that.
Ram, you wanted this first slide for some reason.
No, I was wanting to remind people that incidentally we covered these 10 things. And so anyone, like people were trying to remember where we spoke about the intellect, and where we spoke about choice and remote and all that. So it is more just to say, actually, I also wanted to put up the slide to say that these are the genies we were talking about for self-development, that we have the choice, and how best to exercise our choice is what we were looking at. So these were the 10 outcomes of the genies. Okay, I think.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you all.
Thank you so much.